Welcome to Oakbridge University's Expanding Viewpoints. I'm your host, Eva McGinnis, and today we have the very special guest, Niobe Weaver. She is a gifted psychic, certified sound healer, light language channel, Reiki Master. She's also a speaker and a recording artist, and she has a podcast on soul reflections on Transformational Talk Radio. She truly heals hearts with her original music and beautiful voice, as well as her wisdom. And I have the pleasure of calling her my friend. Thank you for being with us, and welcome, Niobe.
Oh,
And
Eva, thank you so much. It is just a pleasure and delight to be here. And yes, it's, the many years and, when everything started for Judith. I remember being in her home in Olympia. And so when John Mark Hammer was channeling Jeshua.
yes,
And my friend and I went, I thought I was going to go to like the Red Lion Inn and we're going to be sitting in with all these chairs. And there's this guy going to be channeling Jesus. And instead, it's this beautiful home in Olympia, and it's filled with these people. And he came in, and as he was channeling Jeshua, the whole room, just the whole house got warm. And then here, not maybe just about 3 or 4 years later, I'm up at Unity in the Olympics, and I meet Judith. And at this time, then the transfer channeling had been transferred over to her. And I was like, oh my goodness. And then it was like, well, that was my house, Niobe. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I think it is wonderful how the synchronicities and how our energy gets woven together of the people that come into our lives.
exactly. There's no accident in this. We are divinely woven together.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's why I thought about you, because I know we have a history together of being with the Jeshua Hart family. And tell us a little bit about yourself and your spiritual journey, uh, and then how we intersect together with Oakbridge University, which is supporting the Jeshua teachings.
Absolutely. Well, well, I was born into Catholic family. My mother and father were converts. But so I was the first cradle Catholic, as they call it, and baptized. And I went to Catholic school all the way through high school. And so I went to church a lot. I went to a lot of masses. and about just the reverence of everyday life is what Catholicism does do. Um, Unfortunately, Catholicism also has, I think, just like a lot of our organized religions are coming out, that there's a very dark side to them, but there also can be light, and that was there for me as a child. And there was the thing about that is there was the sense of the mystical. That to me, that's what Catholicism brought, was that sense of the mystical, of of Jesus appearing, Jesus, Jeshua appearing in different places, but different saints, but Mother Mary. The divine feminine was very strong, as well as the divine masculine. And about, oh my goodness, even to Jimmy Twyman, who is a spiritual singer that goes to Unity churches and Center for Spiritual Living. He went to Medjugorje, where and there'd been war all around, but there'd been a sighting, and Mother Mary had started revealing herself and bringing a message there. So I had that. That was spiritually the beauty for me that was there. And then was really curious to be my senior year in high school. And I had a Christian brother, 26-year-old, rosy cheeked curly-haired Christian brother that brought us into, it was comparative religions. Okay, fine. But the other thing he did is he introduced us to transcendental meditation, silva mind control, and self-hypnosis. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how, that's very unusual to have. And I had a first I guess you would call it an out of body mystical experience there, when we were doing a Silva method, and he said, "You're building a lot of extra energy, so think of someone that could use your energy at this time." Well, my father was driving from Tulsa to Houston, so I thought about my dad. And the next thing I know, my third eye, which I didn't know was my third eye at the time, it opened up, and just this air started shooting out. And the next thing you know, I'm sitting next to my dad. And I see where he's got the window down, he's driving, I can feel the air and everything like that. And I'm just sitting there looking at my dad. And then suddenly I'm brought back into my body, but I was still in this meditative state. And there was this vision. There was this bright yellow aura around this man who was very buff, and he had a bright yellow t-shirt on, he had fatigues, and army boots on. I had no idea who this was, but that would turn out to be, so that was 1977, and it would be 1997 when that person would come into my life that changed my life. And he was a priest. He was a military priest.
Wow.
The one was a part of, we got into, by that time, I was a massage therapist. And I gotten into sound healing, and but we were in a Reiki group, and boy, were we a different Reiki group. So but he was very instrumental in changing my life and opening me up further on that spiritual side of things. And but he's the one who sponsored that first CD, Language of Light. So, but he's in spirit now. And but so it's our lives are magically spiritual if we just open to allowing it.
Absolutely. Just feeling the magic and the miracles that are open to us every single moment. Just the way we interconnect with people, come into our lives. And that was really quite amazing that you met this person 20 years later.
No, it was just like, yeah, somebody had given him a gift certificate to come get an energy session from me. And we were best friends from that day on. So, yeah.
Oh, fabulous. So many ways that spirit has of connecting us and of showing us what our next steps are. And you've had a remarkable experience with being shown and asked for your
I'm sorry,
next
say
step.
that last part again.
You had a remarkable experience that you told me about, an NDA.
Yeah.
With
with Jeshua, yes.
Yes, with Jeshua. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Thank you on that. I've gotten comfortable. I'm more comfortable now sharing it than I was before, and I'm also discovering that it is really the foundation of my work and why I do what I do. So it's pretty easy and quick to talk about it. It's 1989. I have 2 young children, 3 and 2, and I'm single. And my mother and father are pressuring me. Why don't I just find somebody to marry me and take care of me and these kids? Oh my God. So I met somebody who kind of was having the same problem issue too. He was divorced, a father of twin girls, 4 years old. And he was being pressured too about find somebody, get married. So we did, and we shouldn't have. And it was, in his unhappiness, there was a lot of other things going on within him about his father. He had a very abusive father growing up, and the father had, it was 7 kids or 5 or 7 kids, and all of them had been very wounded by this man. So what happened was is he started picking on my oldest child, and I was always having to play interference. And so there was a day that we had dropped the kids off at my parents' house and we went fishing. We normally don't go do things, but that day we actually had a fairly good day together. We went fishing and then we stopped by somebody's home, friend's home on the way back, and I hardly had anything to eat. And so the wine flowed, and so I got inebriated pretty quick. So by the time we got home, we left my daughter at grandma and grandpa's, and my son, he picks on, brought him home. So he starts picking on my son, and I put my son to bed, and I go in the kitchen and I address this, it's enough of this about address picking on my son. And he looks at me and goes, "Why don't you just F off and die?"
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, why don't you just F off and die? And I was really so inebriated, but I had been up against him. I'd been up against my mother. My mother was picking on my oldest child. There was, when you get to this place of, can you do anything right? But I was always consistently, protecting my kids, especially my oldest. And I'd had a muscle tear or whatever. Something inside me snapped. And I went into the bathroom and I took a full bottle of muscle relaxers and a full bottle of pain pills. And I lay down on the couch and I died. And I know if I hadn't been inebriated, I know I wouldn't have done it, but something within me snapped. And this is where, for me, this is a part of I'm stepping into with the work I do, but with a voice about, because then it was something to be ashamed of. Oh my God, you attempted suicide. You attempted to take your life. How could you do that? You have children. Well, here's what happened. I laid down on the couch. It's probably about 9 o'clock at night. And I recall, so it's in June, late June. So it was about maybe 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning. And I recall crashing back down into my body and hear this voice. There's this disembodied voice who whispers in my ear, "Wake up." I opened my eyes and I said, "I'm alive." And from that moment on, I literally crawled on my elbows to survive. And I was 2 days in ICU, and within 3 weeks, I picked my babies up and I went to my sister and started to heal, therapy, counseling, etc. So, but I didn't recall what happened. A lot of times people recall what happened when they were out of their body. I was too busy being alive, staying being alive and getting my children out of there. So I went to some hypnotherapist. And what happened when I left my body is I came into this sea of living light, all color. It was just this sea of living light. And Jeshua formed out of this sea of living light. And the next thing I realize is I'm standing in that living room, and there's Jeshua, and there I am on the couch. And there's this old woman. I look at her, and there is this old woman. I have no idea who this old woman is. And she's looking at me and she's telling me she's sorry. I'm so sorry. And I look at her and I said, "Do you have any idea what you've done and what you've done, what you've caused?" And I'm not getting this, but any idea what you've done? And she goes, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And I knew I had to forgive her. Now, in this hypnotherapy, I was thinking there had been somebody that had passed away in the house prior to the husband buying it. And I thought at that time, that's who this was, this old woman. That was her, that maybe she'd had a part of causing what I did. But so I did forgive her. And when I did, I looked at Jeshua and he looks at me and I says, what do you want me to do? And he said, trust, it'll be revealed to you. And that's when I went back and I crashed into my body. So that was, oh my goodness. I think that happened that might have happened around in 1991, 92, because the kids and I'd moved up here. And so I was like, okay, that happened. That was 92, right? So here we are. Let's fast forward to June. It's June. Something always happens in June. It's June of 2008. And my mother has been in dementia Alzheimer's for a good 2 to 3 years. And she's in a wonderful place called Martha and Mary in Paulsbo. Now, my friend is a functional medicine nurse practitioner. I said, let's go by. And she said, yeah, let's go by and check on your mom. Okay. And for about 2 or 3 months, I'd been feeling a sense of somebody spiritually in my room when I've been sleeping, and I didn't think anything. I'm like going, what in the world? Who am I picking up? But we walked in her door, and okay, I need to back up here just a moment. So this is June. February, my father calls me and says, I'm with your mom at the hospital. She'd almost crossed over. So I go to see her, and because she'd been in the facility and they took her in and she was awake by this time. I walk in. As I round the corner, this woman is sitting there and her crown chakra is so blown open with light. She is just like, wow, light. I'm like, whoa. And so I'm sitting across from her and she's just smiling at me. And in my mind, I looked at her and I said to her in my mind, where have you been? And she's just smiling like this. And then this happens. I was like, God, what was that? All right, so that's February. Here we are in June. Rebecca and I walked in. She's once again, there is this blown open colors of energy. And she's just like this. And she's looking at me, you're here, you're here. My daughter, you're here. And she's just saying, she looks at me, beautiful, just so beautiful. She says, you've got everything you need to do what you need to do. Now go out there and do it. Okay. And then she's just lying there and she's smiling at me. And then this happens. Was that creepy? Was that disturbing? It was. That's when I realized that the woman, when I had my near-death experience, that was my mother. That was going to be my mother. And then it was and then there was a truth of my mother had an entity attached to her. So, and I think it might have been something also with her mother. On my mother's line, we are Native American. So who knows? But this is my near-death experience. And how in June of 1989, and here it was June of 2008, how things are never random, how our souls and our lives have their purpose. And if we pay attention, if we're paying attention, whether it's a near-death experience or not, there's always this beautiful woven tapestry of experiences, people, experiences and people that weave into this absolute structure of our soul, and we're connected. Our souls have come in and said, well, this is what I'm going to do. And the other soul says, okay, well, then this is what I'm going to do. And if we come into this awareness that there is a purpose and a reason for everything in our lives, good, bad, or indifferent, horrible, or just incredibly miraculous and amazing. And it's up to us in this soul journey. It's up to us of going, I'm paying attention. And what is this journey? What is this about? And allowing ourselves to be led. And that's what Jeshua was saying to me. Trust it will be revealed to you. And here it is these years later. And I see the book now. I see the cover of the book. But it's really now time for me to come out with my story, because for several years now, as I have been witnessing the numbers of people taking their lives. It used to be something to be ashamed of, to talk about. No, we need to really talk about it now. From children being bullied at school, and men and women, and it's because there's nobody there that's paying attention. Nobody's listening. And all of a sudden they're gone. That's why did that happen? So that's, Eva, this is the culmination of my healing work and the message, which really is no one should ever have to hide their light. Your life matters. It's important you're here just the way you are. And you are sounding out this amazing soul song that's yours and yours alone, and it changes and it comes around and all, but this is your time, and this is who you are, to come into that place of honoring and loving your life, because there's nobody else like you that looks like you, that sounds like you, walks like you, and you make a difference in somebody's life. And when you're gone, there is such an emptiness and an empty space.
What a beautiful way you have woven the experiences of your life, because we set up those experiences for ourselves in which to grow. And you certainly have shown how you have grown and are now embracing all the lessons that have you've chosen to do. And that's a really difficult thing for our culture to and for us to accept, because we take it as blame or shame, but really
Yes.
It's not. It's our learning. It's our God self having that experience and learning from it for more love. And that's what you're doing, is spreading the love to all the people that you come in contact with, and being that example of being a master of transmuting what looks like in the world is something horrible into something that is divine, because it is all divine.
It is all divine. And you're making me think about there was a woman that knocked on my door and looked at me. She goes, how could you? How dare you? You have children. Thank you. And then there was this woman that knocked on my door, and she came in and she embraced me. She was the only one that embraced me. So that was a long time ago, but there is still a lot of people that wrap that in shame. And you don't know, you can be sitting right next to somebody in church. You can be sitting on the bus next to somebody. You can be in the grocery store line. You don't know
Exactly.
what is going on deeply in somebody's life, their heart, and their soul.
We never have the full picture. So
No, we
that's
don't.
why judgment just is useless, because we don't never have the full picture of what their life script is, what they've been through, what they're going through, who is impinging on them, who is blessing them. But all we can do is hold them in love,
Yes.
and you can be sitting there in the bus and sitting next to somebody that's a stranger, and we can feel their energy. So just sending them love quietly.
Sending them love.
Yeah, I used to have to ride the bus a lot when I worked in Seattle, and I would just make it my daily practice to send love to everybody that was in my little circle.
Oh, oh my goodness, that just gave me goosebumps. Because I mean, those of you that watch this, and if you're new to watching Eva, you don't know how just walking love this woman is. And those of you that do know her, you know she's walking love. That Seattle, oh my goodness gracious, on a bus in Seattle. And that you have every color of life gets on a bus, whether it's Seattle, New York, but oh, what a ministry you did, Eva. Wow, that's amazing. That's just amazing.
Well, one thing I'm really proud of is for a while, my husband and I both commuted, in a car, because I worked at a place where the bus doesn't go. So anyway, he would come in, he'd be really angry when somebody cut him off. And I heard a speaker talk about, reframing that. So we did this practice of, maybe that person that cut you off really needs to get to the hospital because they've got a pregnant wife, or maybe they're trying to get their kids to school on time. So we would make up stories about them that would put them in a different light, instead of saying you jerk. we would make I would make up these stories, and eventually it took the temperature down, and he no longer does that. We both just bless the people that are going fast and hope you get there safely.
Hope you get there. Yes.
Hope you get there safely.
Hope you get there safely and you don't hurt anybody on the way. So
exactly.
yeah.
And it makes such a difference in our lives when we can bless everything without judging what their motivation is. And you do that so beautifully with all the people that you touch, and the music that you
thank you.
Sing with your beautiful voice, and the bowls that you do, that sound healing. Any other things that you have experienced with Jeshua since then, or in our community of Heart family members, as far as
it's
working with the many beautiful messages that he gives us? I know you were interested in the bringing heaven to earth through the uniting masculine and feminine energy, and we'll talk about that a lot in the diving deeper, but maybe you can give us a little hint about why that's important to you.
Oh, bringing heaven to earth, because it's a consciousness that we really need. That just sounds so authoritarian. You really need that.
Well,
but it is a consciousness that we need heaven to earth, because there's no separation. Heaven is on earth if we stop for a moment and allow it, because everything's energy anyway. I mean, so you and your husband were creating that in the car as you shifted the dialogue, which shifted the energy into, it created for you all, it created something, but it expanded out. And that's what we need to remember and realize that how powerful we are, and that it is true. If we hold something in mind, and we say something in mind that is of light and kindness and grounded in grounded in just being oneness, and or if we have something that wants to spew out of us that comes with impatience and anger and divisiveness, and it's who is it? Oh, what tradition is it? It might just be shamanic. Send poison arrows. When we do that, if we look at it from a shamanic standpoint, we're sending poison arrows to somebody. And what is it doing to ourselves?
Because they come back.
Yeah, what's it doing to ourselves versus, sending light. So heaven on earth, connecting heaven on earth. Heaven is literally a breath away. When you leave your body, when your soul leaves your body, it's all into the web of energetic consciousness. When I had to put my sweet little Serena down, she was 18, and she's a kitty, and she had kidney failure, and but I was with her and I was holding her as he gave her the injection. I felt her spirit leave her body, and I knew she was gone before he told me. But it was that moment of feeling she went into the oneness. So is oneness heaven on earth? Earth is, there's no separation. It's all within our going, wait a minute, if our shifting in that moment into there's oneness right now. There's heaven right here. I'm in heaven right now. I always kind of go back when I've done some talks before, even it's like I go to Nelson Mandela and John McCain. And also we've got some saints that were female saints that were incarcerated and stuff like that. So but Nelson Mandela and John McCain, they did not go down the road of hate. And Nelson Mandela saw himself free, and he had no hatred for the jailers that had him or why he was in there, and those persecuted him and sent him into prison for 25 years. John McCain was tortured, horribly tortured, but he did not hold hatred. He went into another space. He knew he was going to be free. And in other words, it's rising up out of the conditions and the experience you're having, this earthly experience. And I know that's hard for some people to say, because people do horrible things to people. However, there's still this oneness of spirit that we are, and we can choose in that moment to come into that oneness, which is heaven right here on earth right now.
Absolutely. Beautifully put. Heaven is what the consciousness that we carry within us and the vibration of that consciousness. And we have free will, so we can experience what is not love, so that we can appreciate. And if the soul goes on forever, which I truly believe, we are ever eternal beings, then we can just call this an experience and not hold on to hatred, or this shouldn't have happened, but I couldn't have done this differently. We just accept and know that in our acceptance and forgiveness, to what seems to be non-preferred reality.
Right. I like that non-preferred reality. That's good.
Then we're not labeling it as evil or whatever, because it's just a preference to experience as an extension of spirit, another kind of an experience that can then lead us back home to love, because we really haven't left home. That's what realization of heaven is. We live and have our being in heaven right now. I love Jeshua's statement, from love we come, in love we walk, and to love we will return.
Mm. Right.
And you said it perfectly with what he's trying to teach us is about there is no separation. There is only the oneness. Yeah. And once we get that, then we treat each other so much better, and we realize that this is heaven on earth. And there's no need to fear death, no need to fear anyone else, because we are all in this divine play together.
Yeah, we are. Oh, absolutely, we are. I think Neil Donald Walsh, did you see that book, Little Soul in the Sun? It's a children's book that he wrote.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, my goodness. It's just precious. I mean, I got it for myself because my kids were older. They were little kids. But what it was is, okay, so there's all these new little angels that are going to go down to earth. Okay. And they go to God, and they're going to God to get their assignments. Right. And so God pairs them off, and he says, okay, I'm going to send you out in pairs. Okay. But this is the assignment. This is what you're going to have to do. And so he tells them. And so these two little angels go off, and the one little angel is putting on, so they're bright angels, right? They're light and they got their wings. And the one little angel is putting on a cloak of darkness and is saying, I'm going to forget who I am, and I need you to remember for me. Mm-hmm. And yeah, because this puts over the cloak of darkness, is forgetting that they are, like you just said, a beautiful, bright spirit, soul of light. And that was the most profound way of putting it for a children's book that Neil Donald Walsh ever did.
Yes, now that you talk about it, I remember it now. Yes.
It was so precious. So yeah, it was a big book too. It's very nice.
Yeah, wonderful way to introduce that to children and to all of us, big children, in little bodies and in big bodies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this has been a wonderful conversation, Niobe. I really, really appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to share with us before we close up?
Let's see. It's
I had one quick question. Usually, people that have gone through near-death experiences never fear death. Is that true for you? After having that experience?
It's interesting to ask me that. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I'm not afraid of death. No, not afraid of dying.
That's one of the big gifts of that kind of experience for many people that I've heard of. Yeah.
Yeah, because you just know. I mean, it's just a transition.
Yes.
It's a quick transition. So, and I mean, well, it can be, but it's like, we're not going to go down that road.
No.
slowly, never mind. But one last thing about Jeshua, and just he was a beautiful man on this earth. He was a beautiful soul that was a man on this earth. And human soul, a beautiful soul in this it would then enlighten soul into a man's body. And what I'm kind of getting is that it's kind of like he's saying, I'm a way shower. There's so many ways that they've, the Catholic Church and all is, King of Kings and Lord of Light, and a king and all. And he's like, what I'm seeing with him right now and feeling from him is like, he goes, I'm no different than you.
Exactly.
You have. And that's what he was teaching too.
Yes.
You have the same power, the same abilities you have are that same light as he was when he was in human form. That's what he was trying to teach us.
Yes. And he said that, this and greater things shall you do.
Yes, he did.
So,
Yes, he did.
so
And
I'm constantly looking forward to the more, and I know that he's right here with us and
absolutely.
enjoying life as us. He said, he's as close as our breath,
Yes. Yes.
and we are that close to each other as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for this beautiful
This
conversation.
Thank you so much, Eva. This has been really delightful. Thank you very much for having me on here, and thank you everyone who takes the time to be with us here in this conversation. I appreciate your being present.
And we'll see you in July for diving deeper, and we'll explore even more the bringing heaven to earth. So,
that will be
thank you so
beautiful. That'll be
much.
fun. Oh, thank you, Eva. Thank you. Namaste.
I love you.
Love you too.